Hi, I'm Mark. This is Mark Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a heating schedule with geolocation completely using Apple Home. So let's jump in. Okay, so I've got two things on the screen here which I'm just going to show you before we get stuck in. Firstly, I've got my heating schedule listed out here. So I've got all the things that I want to happen for my different rooms. So the living room is where my main thermostat is, and then I've got 3 radiator valves in these 3 rooms. So essentially this is the downstairs of my house because it's kind of one big open space, and then got the upstairs rooms. And obviously I don't want to heat them all of the time, and I want to keep the bedroom a little bit cooler and things like that. So there's a few things that are in common here. So for example, when everyone leaves, the heating needs to be off, and that's the same for the living room, bedroom, office and spare room. We've got a second thing where if someone arrives, we want to resume the heating schedule at a particular point where we are based on the time. And then we also have these different time slots, and these do vary depending on the room and the temperature we want to set things to. So we're going to need quite a few Apple Home automations. I won't make all of them in this video. We'll probably just work through a couple of rooms. The second thing I want to show you is this on my iPhone. This is the Habby heating app. I have just moved all of my heating across to Habby instead of Tado, and there's one really simple reason for that. In Habby you can get your radiator valves to trigger your heating. So you have a main device that's hooked up to your boiler, and then you've got your thermostat, which is your normal kind of on wall thing, and then you've got your radiator valves. So these are these 3 things here. And if I click into one of these, you can see that if I go into settings, we've got this option called heat on demand, which basically means if this is on, this valve can send a signal to the boiler, so the boiler will come on. Now in my home setting, I'm aware that obviously if these 3, so the bedroom, the office and the spare room come on, then this is actually going to cause this to come on and heat as well, but that's okay. If I wanted to in the future, I could get some more TRVs. They're not particularly expensive with Habby, and I could put them around downstairs as well, but I'm not going to. But that's a really important thing, because actually for your room heating schedules to work, you need your radiators to be able to trigger your thermostat. And Habby is one of few out there can do that. Tado, which I previously reviewed, can do that. However, you have to pay for that functionality now. If you're interested in Habby, I'll put a link below. There is a full review coming up on this channel soon, and I do already have an unboxing and setup up on the channel as well, and I'll link that below. So we're going to close this and we're going to get stuck in. So I'm going to load up Apple Home. And of course, you could do this on your phone. I'm going to do this on here just because it's easier to show you guys. So we're going to start off and we're going to go into automation, and we're going to start with a really easy one, which is everyone leaves, heating off. So we're going to hit plus, create an automation, and we're going to say people leave, and we're going to say the last person leaves, and it's going to happen at any time, and we're going to hit next. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through our rooms and find our different devices. So we've got living room thermostat, we've got radiator, we've got another radiator, we've got the office, and I am also going to grab the underfloor heating in the bathroom as well, which is actually a Meros controller and it's completely different, but that's fine. We're just going to collate all of the heating off into here. So we're going to put heating, and we're going to go over naming convention here. So what I've done with my Apple Home automations is I've kind of put room hyphen what it's doing next. So we're going to call this heating, and we are going to reverse it for this. So eventually it's be like heating bedroom, so it's easy to find all of these in one place. So I'm going to do heating, geolocation, away. And then what we want to do is, for living room, we want to set this down to just 5, so it's kind of on frost protection. We could actually turn it off with Habby because that automatically has frost protection built in, but we are just going to do that and just take this down to 5. Okay, so that's nice and easy. We can just switch that. And there we go. If we go down to heating, geolocation, away, we've got that there. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to look at some of these and see what we've got as overlaps. So we've got downstairs at 6 AM. So I'm going to change this one to 6 AM just to make my life easier as well. We're going to change this one as well. So we're going to do this as 1. So we will just mark a status here of done. So we're going to do a new automation, and we're going to set this for time of day. So we're going to set this to be 6 in the morning. We'll have it every day, but we're going to do it when somebody is at home, because we only want this to run if someone's home, because we're heating. So we're going to hit next. And we're going to grab the devices we want. So we want the living room, we want the bedroom, and we want the spare bedroom. Okay, now these get heated to different things. So the living room goes to 21. The bedroom goes to 20, so that's exactly what it's on. And the spare room also goes to 20, so that's exactly what we want. So we're going to call this heating, and we're actually going to put the time first so it's easy to find, and we'll put rooms at the end, and we'll rename the other one. So to go 6 a.m, bedroom, living room. Use these pipes to separate them. So we've got heating, 6 a.m, bedroom, living room, spare room. So that's all as one, only when someone's home. Perfect. So if we scroll up to the H for heating, we can see it just there. So we can just come and tick some of these off here. So we can say that one's done. We can say that one is done. And we can say this one is done. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you by doing all of these, but we are going to set this someone arrives one. So what we're going to do is, this one is going to be pretty complicated. So we're going to hit the plus here. We're going to add an automation, and I'm going to say people arrive. So the first person arrives home anytime, that's all good. So we're going to hit next. Now, what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to go all the way to the bottom, and we're going to convert this to a shortcut. So what we're going to need to do first is get the time. And we're going to start by saying set variable and pop that over here. We can't make that wider, which is a shame. And we're going to call this time, and the input is going to be the current date. Now, if we click this, we can do it in a format of custom. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to get rid of all that. We're just going to have HH. So let me just show you this quickly. So 2 capital H's is time on the 24-hour system, which is exactly what we want. So let's just get rid of that. So this is going to get us the current time in that format, which is great. And then what we're going to want to do is get numbers from it. So we're going to get numbers from input and get numbers from time, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so now we're going to go into scripting. So we're going to say if numbers, which is this, is we're going to say, to start with, we're going to work backwards. So we're going to say if numbers is less than 6, which is our morning, then we're going to get home from in here. I'm going to control home. Okay, so this is one of those things where the Apple Home app is great, but when it comes to messing around with these shortcuts, it's actually easier to use something like an iPad because you've got a bigger screen to work with. But we are just going to do a couple of things on here to start with. So if we're less than 6, we need to look at what we're doing overnight. So overnight, the living room is 16, the office is 16, the spare bedroom is 16, and bedroom is 17. So we're going to set scenes and accessories. So what we can do here is we can select multiple ones. So we can select all of our heating devices and just hit next. So what we've got here is a very small window. So the living room, if we get home and it's less than 6, so if it's basically between midnight and 6 in the morning, we're going to want to set the living room to 16. We're going to want to set the bathroom underfloor heating to 20, because that's what I have on overnight. We're going to want to set the bedroom to 17. And then this is going to go down to 16. And the same with this. So this is what we've got so far. We're saying we're getting the time. If it's less than 6, then we set these accessories. So we're going to need to have another if here. And we're going to look at the next kind of time schedule. You can basically make these as precise as you want. So I'm going to say if it's between 6 and 8 in the morning. So we're going to want numbers, which is there, is greater than or equal to 6. Okay, so at the moment we've got if numbers is greater than or equal to 6, then this will happen. We haven't got anything here yet. We've got this plus here as well though, so we are going to add an extra condition. So we're going to say if any are true, we need all of them to be true. So if numbers is greater than or equal to 6, and our second condition is going to be if numbers is less than 8. So that's exactly what we want. So we're going to go into home, and we're going to control home and pop that in there. And then again, we're going to set scenes and accessories. So we're going to grab the thermostat in the living room. We're going to grab the underfloor heating. We're going to grab the radiator. We're going to grab the other radiator. And we're going to grab the third radiator. So that is all of our things at 8 o'clock. So that is exactly what we want. So we're going to tick that. So we've got our second condition. So let's see what we've got so far. So like I said, this is the most complicated one. So this is when anyone gets home, so we kind of resume our schedule. So if numbers is less than 6, set the accessories. If all of these are true, so if we're greater than or equal to 6 but less than 8 when we set these, and we can get rid of that as well. So we're going to need to add in another if, but I'm not going to show you all of this. I'll come back and show you this when it's all done. Okay, so it's the day after I filmed that last clip. I got everything set up and I wanted to just give it 24 hours just to test it, for me to go away from home, for the timings to kick in, and everything seems to be working exactly as it should. So let me just show you a few of the things I've got. As you can see, there are a lot of automations here, so everything we're heating does relate to that. But this is free. This is part of Apple Home. This works for everyone in the house without them having to get another app. And whilst you could do this in something like Home Assistant or Homey with kind of a less awkward setup, actually those things require hardware or subscriptions. This is just included, and it means no one else has got to get an extra app. And it seems to be working well so far. So let me show you what I've got. As I said in the last video, I went for a naming convention of the kind of what it's doing, or some of my automations, if you look down here, have rooms attached to them like kitchen. So for heating, it's just heating. Then I've got the time, and then I've got the rooms, and I've pipe separated the rooms. So I can easily look at this and see what's going on. So if we click into this one, for example, this is the heating. All of these are enabled. So this runs only when someone is at home. It runs at 6 o'clock in the morning daily, and it controls 4 different things. So it controls my 3 Habby radiator thermostats. So it sets spare room and bedroom and living room to different things. So sorry, that's not the radiator valve, that's the actual thermostat. And then it also controls my Meros Matter thermostat for my bathroom underfloor heating. There is a review of that around on this channel as well. So it controls all of those things. If I show you a different one, so I've got one here for weekdays in my home office. So basically, again, when someone's at home at 8 o'clock on a weekday, it sets this radiator valve to be 20 degrees. Make sure the office is nice and warm when I come to start working in it. And of course, this only runs if someone is at home. And the really important thing with this is that the Habby radiator thermostats, so this is one of them, can control the boiler control. And that is part of their kind of setup, and that's included, whereas Tado do charge if you want that functionality. So you could set this up with Tado if you wanted to, but you would need to have the Tado subscription, which is £30 a year or $3.99 a month at the time of recording. And then of course, so all of these do different things, and then the rest of these do different things at different times, all controlling different rooms. So I won't show you each of those. We've got the 2 geolocation ones as well. So we've got the away, which basically switches everything down to frost protection mode. If you are using Habby radiator thermostats like I am at the moment, then they actually have automatic frost protection built in. So you could switch these off and it would still kick in if it went below a certain level, but I'm not going to do that. And then the final thing to show you is the most complicated thing, and this is the arriving home. So this is set when the first person arrives home, and this has a big shortcut. And this big shortcut, as I showed you when we were creating it, gets the time from the current date, it gets the numbers from that time, and then we have a series of checks. So if it's less than 6, we set them to kind of what it would be before 6 in the morning, but after midnight. If it's greater than 6, but before 8, we set it to that. If it's between 8 and 5, we set it to those things. If it's greater than 5 o'clock, so 17, and 23, so 11, then we set it to these things. And then we got one more for between 8 and 10, which is just specifically for the bedroom ones. So this is complicated. I could make it more complicated if I wanted to, because there are a couple of tiny things for my office heating that it wouldn't cover, but I don't really think that matters, to be honest. But you might like to extend this. You can add as many of these as you like in here. Just bear in mind that these are ifs and there's no else's. So if more than one of these is true, so for example, this one here, where we're checking if it's greater than 5 o'clock in the evening and less than 11 o'clock in the evening, this will run. But if it was 8 o'clock, for example, this would run, and so would this one, because these are separate entities. So that's that one. So that is how you get an entire heating schedule in Apple Home for free with a lot of automations. So I hope you guys found that video helpful. As I said in that video and in a previous short, Tado now charge if you want their radiator thermostats to control their heating. That's a £3.99 a month subscription or a £30 a year subscription. And you do get some extra things with that as well. So you get the automatic geofencing and a few other bits and pieces, but a lot of people don't like subscriptions, myself included. As I also said in this video, I have recently picked up Habby's smart radiator valves and thermostat for my boiler, and those radiator valves can control the boiler so they can cool for heat without any subscription, which is how I've been able to set everything up as you saw in this video in Apple Home. If you got any questions, stick them below and I'll try and help you out. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and I'll see you guys again soon.